Good morning. It is Sunday morning, September 22nd, 2019. I think Bitcoin prices are going down, and I'm keen to go through our indicators to see if they are giving us some specifics on what we can do from this moment forward. So before I jump into the stream today, I want to say thank you to the people who are patron sponsors. There is a link down below where you can get some of these benefits as well. I'd like to thank Gunbot University Wally for his support, Chris Lynch, Crypto Street, Julian, Carl, Patrick, Philip, Test, and Usman. Thank you very much. Now, before we jump in, good morning, grab the money bag. I do also want to pause by our disclaimer. You can pause the video to read through that. This isn't trading or investment advice, just my own reviews of the markets. Hey, and the music timed perfectly for this intro. So what we normally do on this screen is we go through the relative strength index, we go through the on-balance volume indicator, and we go through the MACD indicator, and we go through the Ichimoku Cloud indicator, and all of them are testing against a trading system that I wrote between 1994 and 1998. It did me very well in the last cryptocurrency bull runs, and I have a copy or a basic review of this complete trading system over on the website introdocryptos.ca. So be sure to go and download that webinar and get that training so that when you're following along with the stream, you're getting more out of it. So Bluelus, good to see you here. Alfred, hello and thanks for joining me. Tor, good to have you here. As soon as I put this thing up, we got a new YouTube streaming setup, so I have to get used to how that software works again now. All good. The one thing that is constant in the world is change. And the kaleidoscope of our indicators here is what we're watching. I've been watching this weekly view of the relative strength index for months, talking about I'm expecting to have this long, slow uptrend in the Bitcoin relative strength index. And all the way along for a long time, I've been expecting it to come back and touch this and then go up, touch this and then go up. Now we're back to touching it, but in such a way that if it breaks below these levels, that's confirming this top formation. And I think we'll see this sort of when there's big red ugly candles on the chart. We got unusual buying activities and singles right now. I like this whale sniper Telegram group. Good to have those things pop up because then they go along with the alerts so that you can see things as they're happening, especially when you combine it with a specific trading plan. So now let's zoom in on the daily view, and what I'm watching for here are any signs on either side of the relative strength index trend now. I think this has already broken the trend that I was making earlier. Down, 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 down. Usually we have this down before we have the up, and it breaks that trend line before the big move comes. So this trend line was broken here, but it quickly recovered. This trend line has been broken. Will it recover out of this trend and then continue to go higher as I was expecting earlier? Last week, a week before, in these ranges, I was expecting that it was going to be moving up and coming off of these ranges, much as I was back here. And so I'm really watching now, what is the similarity in the way that the RSI behaved last time? What did it do? It broke. And as we're seeing these breaking and breaking going on, it really looks similar. It really looks very similar. So let's continue on zooming in, and we'll come back to review this pattern against this pattern a few different times here today. Go into the 12-hour view. So I'm just double checking this RSI. Do we have any divergences? Do we have anything that is giving me an idea of which way it's going? Is it breaking these trend lines? It has already come past the middle line. And so usually below the middle line, we get some dumping. Below the middle line, we get some dumping. So it's already gone below that. It's pretty treacherous territory, which is why I think that the 10K might be now our ceiling and that we're bouncing off of that, trying to hold it. Now here is a divergence in the RSI that is, if there's going to be any hope, it's going to be right at this very front edge. Any hope for the bulls, that is. Because the bears are pretty happy if it's going down. Here is a break of that, a little trend line right here. So we do have some really specific ranges now as we're getting in close here for setting up longs and shorts. It's not quite as indistinctive as a triangle because we have a few different structures here to be checking and watching that as these unfold, they're going to give us clues as to what's going on next. And from these unfoldment, from here, past these levels, we'll have some specific indicators to watch for what they're doing. On the other hand, if we are going up and past these levels, we'll have specific indicators that'll confirm that this is what's happening. We'll have our 1, 2, 3s in place. We'll have them breaking and nesting. We'll have divergences in our indicators. All of these things now, we're coming up to a place that there's an easier time, it seems now, to make a decision on what is actually going to happen next, which is phenomenal. Let's go into the OnBalance volume, which I'm not as tickled about anymore, but I do want to keep reviewing it to see what happens when this comes down, especially when we're comparing this triangle to this triangle, because the volume patterns are very different. And so this was leading me earlier to thinking this was building to go higher. Even though it's a similar looking formation, it's not the same. We have underneath, we have things that are quite different. We have the exponential moving averages positive here in a bullish stance, not in a bearish stance. So there's a few different things, although this can come back to these levels for our long-term trend. Back to 8,000 is nothing. It's actually kind of expected. So now as I'm zooming in now to this time frame, we're getting more dumping right at the tip here. And right at the tip over there, we had some fake out buying going on before the dump. So let's continue on zooming in to the 12-hour time frame. Greetings from Cologne. Great to have you here. Trader Rituto from Italy. Great to have you along. Lisbon. There's a place I'm unfamiliar with. Let us continue on here, but this is more dumping right on the edge here. So this is leading me to the belief that we are easing off, and there are other things that make me think that we are still going to build up and take off. So this is why it's important now to identify these really narrow ranges at the front. 4-hour time frame. Still on balance dumping, not as happy. Even this buying here that was going on, not as strong. The bulls just don't seem to have the power. As we're zooming in here, this is dumping and dumping, but less, but it's not turning into positive volume here. There's not enough juice. 15-minute time frame, okay, a little bit here. And it did make if we're starting to look for 1, 2, 3s, this is a 1, 2, 3 right here. We could say this is a tiny little 1, 2, 3 here, 1, 2, 3, and it's nesting into a larger 1, 2, 3. That if all of these start to work together, they do give us the structure to build something on top of it. If you're a mountain climber, you want to have a place to put a toe hold. You don't want to have just this little wee, the bigger the toe hold, the better. So the more structure this builds as we're setting up here, or conversely, the more structure it builds setting up here, our indicators should be telling us now. The relative strength index is going to give us those moves we just saw, and I'll bet you the on-balance volume is going to give us, no, this is always after indicator. What I meant is the MACD indicator. This is going to give us some news and juice. I've been in denial this last while. Oh, I didn't mean to rhyme. As this was coming down and this is doing its thing, I was paying attention to this crossover and saying that our top could be similar to this top here because we have the crossover. Simple. Just because we have that crossover, it's negative. If I zoom into the 1-day view, it gets a little more confusing or a little less clear, where I was watching for something like this as it crossed, that we would have a big move down, that it crossed to the negative, it would continue us downward. So now I'm watching for this to cross to the negative because we had the double bottom here that was looking pretty strong, but now it's sort of fading off. That if this fades more, for certain, this is confirming that we're heading down. If this can hold itself, get some help for the incontinent bladder here, then it may turn around. Let's zoom into the 12-hour time frame again. I'm watching for this to flip positive or stay negative. Staying negative, it just confirms that we're heading south. We've got the cross to the negative, cross to the negative, cross to the negative. ARIN is unusual buying activity. And then I just want to, always want to grab my spreadsheet here. This is just the all of the stuff on Poloniex. Here's all the data on Binance, where we can see the current open, high, low, close, everything, the volume. Phenomenal spreadsheet. Anyway, zoom in on the 12-hour time frame, negative. 4-hour time frame, not so good. It has to cross positive while we're creating structure above here for me to get any love in this market at all. Now that this is negative, I'm watching for it to flare more negative, and I'm watching for like the 1-hour time frame to confirm that. This is the first positive indicator here that we've got these higher lows at crossing higher on this. This is the first little bit of holding things in. So I'm still not buying it, right? Just on the 1-hour time frame, this has to fill out to the 4-hour time frame. It has to cross positive. And then I'm still going to be doubtful because the 12-hour time frame's got to be crossing positive. And that's not going to happen until we're getting above these levels. And then I'll start to get pretty excited, actually, because it'll probably mean the 1 day has changed as well. But right now, the 1-hour time frame and the 15-minute time frame isn't doing it for me. The 15 minutes even easing off here. Yeah, not doing it for me. This is all bearish as far as I can see on this stuff. Let's go on to the Ichimoku Cloud, because the Ichimoku Cloud, if I go to the 1-week view and zoom out, and then I go to the logarithmic view of the Ichimoku Cloud, just because I thought of going to the log view, I want to do this trend line in the log view because I do believe we're coming down to give it some attention. And we are going to get the most amazing trading signal can be when this sets up. In the logarithmic chart, as we get down to these levels and we're hitting this 1, 2, 3 formation set up here, it is going to be screaming. I'll be doing the dance and the jig. I'll be doing continuous live stream. I don't know. But so that gives you an idea of why I think that's coming down here. And it's all good. That's normal. In fact, if we're getting ready for it, we should take a small, like 2 times leverage short, so that you're building up a little Bitcoin and you're not taking any risks, because who knows what it's going to do. And then you can get out when the exponential moving average crosses over on the 1-hour time frame, nice and easy. When it comes back and the exponential moving average crosses on the 4-hour time frame and we're coming up this way, it is time to light up the nitro. Let's go into the 1-day time frame on this, because it gives us a little bit more idea that this has been negative for a while, and I've been sort of in denial, I think, as this is building up, mostly because the OnBalance volume was so good and such a different setup. The crossover of the moving averages is so different, such a better setup. But really, if this comes back to the $8,000 level, it's probably not going to do much to our long-term exponential moving average crossovers. Let's go back here. I want to go to the 1 year. So no, let's go to the weekly view. So now I'm looking at the exponential moving average crossover here, that if we come back to that $8,000 level and we're making that big long-term uptrend in the log chart, that's probably not going to make our exponential moving average crossover negative. Just as some of these big pullbacks here, this is a pretty big pullback. Percentage-wise, these are big pullbacks, but they didn't really affect the overall moving average, the exponential moving averages, so that you just really want to filter out those kind of moves. You just filter them right out and don't even react to them, because they are still within the exponential moving averages. So we'll see. I think it's coming back. Let's go back over to the Ichimoku Cloud and clear this off and zoom in. So now I'm getting into more detail. Oh, I see why that didn't work out. Didn't look normal. This is a sell signal on the 12-hour time frame, and I don't think it was as clear a sell signal in the last few days as it is right now. That all of our indicators are all looking sell signal. And it really confirms on the break below these technical levels. Pretty cool. But I'm really excited about this afternoon's live stream for the cryptos. That's going to be a cool live stream. This is still in the sell signal territory. Even though it came up and pulled back, it's still like a sell signal in the downtrend right now in the 4-hour time frame. No help here for the bulls. 1-hour time frame, we're down below the cloud. We've been fighting below the cloud here for a while. It's not definitive on this 1-hour time frame. It can pump up above that. No problem, as we've seen. And we do have a little 1, 2, 3, a larger 1, 2, 3, a baby 1, 2, 3 on this side. So breaks above these levels would really shift my opinion. But right now, it's not looking like it's going to happen. If we go into the 15-minute time frame, this is where the first bits of that shift of opinion can possibly be, as we're talking about these structures now giving us a tiny 1, 2, 3, a tiny 1, 2, 3. Out of this tiny 1, 2, 3, we're building up out of it so that levels here from these ranges now give us really clear notification. And if we can match this with the MACD indicator crossing over and the relative strength index supporting a divergence, I would be pretty excited about this. Then I would start to zoom back into bigger time frames and be watching for this to build. And if this is building and we see the OnBalance volume picking up as it's breaking out, all hands down on Bitcoin. And then later we'll go into the other live stream and we'll see what that's going to mean for the altcoins, because Bitcoin dominance is not dropping as quickly as I thought, but it's actually made a tiny little formation here, a 1, 2, 3, and reversing. So we could be in for some sideways markets. The alts could pull back a little bit and build larger 1, 2, 3 bottom formations. And all of that would be good. I want to check Bitcoin 1-hour chart against Ethereum here. We can see it's made a 1, 2, 3 top formation, broke the trend line. We see 1-hour time frame of Litecoin. I've already zoomed into. It made this run up, made a top formation. It's easing off and fading back to these important support and resistance levels. I'll bet when we check this afternoon, it's going to be an Ichimoku Cloud that is going thick and sideways for a while here. Ripple has also pulled back to pretty much its 50% level. So watching for some structure to set up here now is going to be key for giving us another place to get in on this. But pretty much hands off for right now. I wouldn't be shorting this. It could go down further, but I'm not shorting it. You could short too. It could come back a good percentage wise, but I'm not shorting it. We'll do that this afternoon and we'll see what those indicators say. And this afternoon, one more thing. Bitcoin longs. They're too high. This is the highest they've been since May when we had the highs, in July when we had the highs, and there's too many longs. It's going to go down. These people are going to get wrecked. If the crowds are generally wrong and the crowds are all long while it's making a descending wedge triangle and all of those negative indicators, I just got to say, everybody's going to get screwed here. And these shorts are going to be really doing the jig and the dancing for Bitcoin. We'll have to see how that plays out. Later this afternoon, we're going to go over the cryptocurrencies because they've been coming up in a nice bull market, but you can see this green line has stepped back pretty significantly here in Poloniex and even eased back in Binance, which means that as Bitcoin is doing its thing and starting to ease off, some of the alts were easing off with it. They're following along with Bitcoin and not going against it. And we'll do more in that live stream this afternoon. It's going to be a cool one. We're going to have a new stream set up. We're going to go through ADA and we're going to check out the technical analysis for ADA. We'll do BCH, ABC. We'll do EOS. We'll do Ethereum. We'll do Litecoin, and we'll do Tron, and we'll do Ripple. All of those in the live stream this afternoon. And that'll go over more of what I'm figuring for these altcoins too. Let's go back to Bitcoin. And I haven't checked out the chat here. Grun from Netherlands, good to have you along. And incomprehensible writing name. I have no idea how to pronounce that. It's got to be Greek. Buy walls getting weaker and weaker. Buy wall. Yeah, they are. That's a bad sign for the longs. Even more longs than short. Time to short, boys. You know it. I can't even begin to try to pronounce your name. No idea. So J Constant, Bitcoin going to 16K. I think if it starts to well up and breaks above these patterns, it's the only chance it has. And for now, eventually, as you see by that logarithmic long-term chart, if I go to the log chart, and we have the normal chart as a reference underneath, this is the mother of charts. And this is the mother of trends as well. I remember a guy tweeting or commenting right here as the moving averages were crossing over and we were breaking out. And he says, this is going up on the logarithmic chart. He said, there's like a breakout on these logarithmic charts is insanely bullish. And it just went up like crazy. So I do think that coming back to these levels may give us quite a long, slow run before it lifts off. So we could be the entire next year going through this stuff. And I did say that when this made the top formation, I said, wow, this has been such a big move that if we take this sideways, it's going to be a year before this thing recovers from this top. Sure enough, those patterns really do work out. So we could be quite a while before this goes up. In that time, the alts should absolutely go bananas because now we have all of the trust in the world for these cryptocurrencies. There's more respect for the blockchain technology. And as those use cases start to unfold and we have like a company with 50 million customers adopts one of these things, that's how this adoption curve is going to go. And it'll be unexpected, right? $20, where is it now? You know the story. If you'd have taken $10 and bought into Bitcoin in 2011 when it was $1 each, your return on investment is unexpectable. It's unthinkable. And that's what you just got to, if Bitcoin did it, you've got to be prepared for the other cryptocurrencies to have the potential to do that and become multi-billion-dollar companies, each one of them. And so having just $10 in all of them and a nice diversified portfolio, just sitting on it for the next 5 years, it's unthinkable what the profit potential could be. Especially coming out of these altcoin bottom formations right now that we're in. Way different than what we're seeing in Bitcoin. Back to the log chart. Remember the golden pocket pattern in your last altcoins? The golden pocket. And I think it was, it's not my term, the golden pocket, but it is part of, let's go to a crypto. It's part of what I've always considered to be the Nitro phase of a trade. And I've become more clear on that over time as I did these courses, as I do these videos over time, as I learn from my own mistakes, as I document everything, as I make all these spreadsheets, and then I reanalyze everything and watch my own videos. It seems to me that, of course, the markets move in waves, and we can see that golden pocket when we have a pullback within these parameters, and we're coming up to them now. We had them in the short signals here, but I'm not as good at short selling yet. I'm practicing that stuff. It's a faster rhythm to short selling than to long trading. So anyway, as prices come up and you see them hit these technical levels and they come back, it is uncanny how many times they come back to the 50% level. It's like I pre-planned this and knew that I was going to bring out this chart and tell you this story. But it's uncanny how many times they come back to the 50% level of the recent move. From this bottom to this top, back to the 50% level. And it does give it to me. it does a 1, 2, 3 formation inside that spot. So now I can draw my parallel channels. Let me clear this all off. Now I can draw my parallel channels from where we started. Wrong tool. And I can start to watch for that 50% level as it comes back. And we're watching for that now in Ripple. Right now, we're watching for this in Ripple. Comes back to the 50% level, makes the 1, 2, 3 formation and breaks above it. I can put on a small bit of my trade. I put my stop loss just below my entry. On this one, of course, I can read the chart ahead of time, so I know where to put my stop. And then as it moves up and does this, now I move my stop up above. As soon as it breaks these levels, I can move my stop up to this one. And as it comes up and breaks above these levels, then I can move my stop up to this one. And I keep moving my stop up. Sometimes I will leave it so that it is 2 phases behind. This is the second phase. This is the first phase. And then I'm waiting for the top formation break for my exit. 1, 2, 3 top formation, exponential moving average crossover on the 12-hour time frame. For sure, I'm out. On this break of that trend line, I'm out on that 12-hour crossover. So we can see the pocket of where to get in. We can see where we can start out our trade with a little bit, where we can add on to that trade, how to use our stops all the way along. And then the shorts I'm less convinced on, I'm less skilled with, and I will be practicing them the same way, but I'll just do it small, and I'll wait for these exponential moving averages to cross. And I'll try to just sit and do nothing as it's doing all this stuff until it crosses over. So I am willing to get in a little late and get out a little late. I'm not going to get in right at the very beginning. I'm going to wait, let everybody else fight it out. Oh, there's my spot right there. And then I'm not going to get out when everybody else is trying to get out at the top. I just ignore those extremes. After it tops out, I'm willing to take just this as my profit from this whole move. And that's really where I'm aiming for. I may have a small position here, and then I add on to my position, then I take off a part of my position and I take off the rest of my position. So I've got most of the bulk of the money is actually just in the middle of the trade here. The rest of it looks great, but it's all candy. You never actually get that. Should I buy Bitcoin now like I'm 19? Is it a good idea? I can never tell you if it's time to buy or not, but really, you could flip a coin. Heads I buy, tails I sell. And then after you make your trading signal, you only hold it if it proves you correct. If it proves you correct, you add on to it. And then getting out is a little harder when you're flipping a coin to get in. So it's a stand aside spot right now in Bitcoin because it's not giving us structure yet. Whoops. But it's perfect because it's giving us structure to base a decision around. So you may know, and I hope you do. If you don't, I've already given you the solution in the first 5 minutes of the video. Now, the first 2 minutes, I said, head over to the website, get our free complete trading system. So then when I'm explaining this to you, you're way ahead. You already know the stuff. Now you can start to put it into action for yourself. I can be a batting coach, but I can never swing the bat for you in a baseball game. You still have to swing your own bat. And that's what this is all about, is to go over the details, the routine. This is for my own subconscious. But my trading signal is after the downtrend and the 1, 2, 3 bottom formation, or after the uptrend and the 1, 2, 3 top formation. And it can be in any different time frame, but I look for those retests. And then I use my risk control rules to help me. Then I'm using these videos to do the indicators underneath the 1, 2, 3 formations so that it's helping to give more bias to it. So you see a 1, 2, 3 formation, but you may not want to be trading it if the indicators are not going along with it. It may be a fake out, breakout 1, 2, 3. And hopefully those indicators are giving us some help there. So now that I see a 1, 2, 3 here, that is actually a buy signal on a small time frame. So if I go into the 5-minute time frame and I'm trading this, and I'm watching for this 1, 2, 3 formation to set up, I see it's coming down. I see it hit a double bottom. I could go into my indicators and maybe I'm getting a divergence here. Now I see it come up and it's broke above this level. That's a potential buy signal. I'm alert now. It comes back and it's fighting here but shows strength. I don't want to FOMO in with a market order. But now I could have a limit order just below the market. If it comes and touches me in, I would then experiment with that little wee trade I just put on. And I would give myself these ranges that if it goes sideways for more than 2 hours, maybe I'll close that position because it's too much risk. The risk is increasing. If when I put on this position, it proves me right away, I'm going to hold it and I'll put my stop above my entry and I'll wait now until this gives me enough cushion to jump with the next part of the trade. So if I had to jump out of the second story of a building that's on fire, I may want to throw down a couple mattresses first so that if I jump down, there's a bit of cushion. It's the same way here. I could put on a tiny bit of a trade as prices come up and they consolidate above this. Now I have this as cushion of profit to start pushing my luck. I am lucky. I've been proven correct. Now I want to push it. I want to be greedy when I'm correct. I want to be nervous when I'm not correct. So once it breaks above these levels, now I've got that cushion. I could be thinking of adding on to this position and saying, okay, I really am actually correct. I want to make some money out of it. But until then, I really, on these ranges, it's super small to start. If it comes down below here, it's the exact same story, just upside down. So now we would have we could call this the 1, 2, 3 top. As it broke down below there, I'm getting ready. As it breaks down below here, I can put on a small bit of my short position, knowing that if I am correct, there's going to be time to add on to it. I really don't like the 15-minute chart. You can never get enough data. So it's the same thing, but I'm more biased towards short now just because of all of our indicators. So I'd be preparing for that trade. Right now I'm standing aside. I have Bitcoin, I have altcoins. I'm not leveraging in either direction right now. I'm just sort of watching. All right, let's go on. Remember the golden pocket, yeah? Sotiris. I could have sounded that out just by looking at the letters, but I couldn't figure it out. Sotiris. Awesome. Should I buy Bitcoin now or should I wait? So hopefully that helps explain the way I would feather into this with a small bit and then add on to it if I was correct. Should you buy or not? Like if you were just like going from fiat to Bitcoin? That's a tough question too. I would have a much better answer for you if we're coming down to that golden pocket. And I think I'm pilfering somebody else's name for that trading plan where they have a specific pocket that they wait for to come back. It's probably a 1, 2, 3 bottom formation. I don't know. Log. This is when I would have an absolute opinion. Right now, I can't give you an opinion because I think it's actually going to come down. So I couldn't say to buy it. But if it's making a 1, 2, 3 off of this level, off of this trend line, I would actually be biased enough to say, yeah, buy it. As I was saying to my folks at this time, buy it. And I was saying it here too, but nobody was really paying attention to me then. Anyway, back to the regular chart. That wraps it up. We did a great review of Bitcoin price here today, much more in depth than I was expecting because the prices are in a position where it demands additional analysis right now. It gives us some really clear levels to be starting to plan out structure to our trades. And then later this afternoon at 3 o'clock, I'll do the other live stream on the cryptos and we'll go through ADA, BCH, EOS, Ethereum, Litecoin, Tron, and Ripple and see what they're doing. Unusual buying activity in CND. I think we have an alert out on that one as well. I believe the target to the downside is plus or 5 minutes of the 60-week moving average. 60-week moving average is actually right on the chart here. Well, this is the 60-week exponential moving average. So this is the 20-week exponential. This is the 60-week exponential. This is the 20. And so I agree that if it comes down into these levels, it's not worrying. That's what the moving averages, using 2 moving averages is to help filter out crap so that you're not jumping in and out on everything. If you had gotten in on the crossover down here, then of course you can wait for any of this stuff and you shouldn't be worried about it. If you got in over here, and if you're using leverage anywhere, then all of this stuff is worrying, and it's a whole different game plan depending on when you first got in. So I agree with you. Let me see if Sotiris. Now I'm going to try to map that together. I'm good with faces. Names I'm a little bit more struggle with. Dottie Dale, you made me curious. Imagine Bitcoin going down to 6K and going down. I'm still biased to the short side right now. And earlier I was biased to the long side. As this was setting up, I thought, here we go. As this was setting up, I thought, here we go. As this was setting up, I thought, here we go. And now I'm starting to feel more bearish, and it's probably going to turn around. And it could. We'll see it on all of our indicators long in advance of it breaking up higher, though. We'll have to see it on the MACD indicator turning around as this is building up. So I don't expect that it's going to be blasting straight off here today, and I could absolutely be wrong. And if it does and it starts to break some significant levels, I will kick on another live stream here, unless I'm on the altcoin live stream at the time on the other channel, and then we'll cover it there as it goes. But that about wraps it up. I appreciate you guys being here. This is fantastic. It's Sunday. Hopefully this helps you with your cryptocurrency trading and setting up your Bitcoin trades in any way. And I'm very happy to see the number of people who are coming over and signing up for that free webinar over on the website. It is an hour long, and it goes through the complete trading system I'm talking about here, so that you're ahead of the game. You're educated already by the time you come onto this channel. You know what we're planning out here, how we're approaching it, and why we're approaching it that way. And over time, I want to hear your success stories. I want to hear this has worked for you as well as it has worked for me all over the time I've been using it. So that wraps it up. I will let her go. BTC to go to 3K. Oh, my dad will even be buying more at 3K for sure. He'll be all over that. Anyway, I will sign off. I appreciate again. Finish with a thank you for the patrons who are making this channel possible. Lots of additional detail there for the patrons. If you sign up, you get access to the spreadsheet. You get access to my 3 books that I just released on Amazon. I want to be sure that you are going to be as successful as anything I can do to help. Cheers. Bye for now.